Dumelang sanibonani abusheni molweni ke tshaba le go dumedisha gore ke re go ye more because it's, yeah, whatever. My name is Lala Skolo aka Motsoko Vandale sa tsware go ke tlhaba ka mafoko ke tlhaba ka mabomo o she o tlhokele poloko. I'm not alone as always. I'm with Lee,
my sunflower. Dimasiari. Kasi Uncover. This is the 6th episode, and I think today is a special day, Lalas, and you know why? Because we have the first ever lady to be with us on the show. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Like, I've been the only lady here, but also because but you are the first lady to ever grace us with your presence. How are you, my darling?
I am good, thank you. I'm very, very good. Wow, I'm so honored to be the first female.
Exactly.
I get to have a pleasure of having Istanbul for the first time in my life. Istanbul! You can do it when you're broke.
Never. Yeah, but before we get to our guest, I just behind the scene before we started shooting, Lalas has been saying, no, please greet people in your language. She's saying Dimadekwana, Dimasiara for heaven's sake. So you can't be saying Dimadekwana. Dimadekwana is like good evening.
Evening.
Dimacheloni, it's
my Cheroni Avudi.
Exactly. Why did you want me to do that?
I'm an African. Say I'm an African. I take pride in anything that is African, regardless. Whether you Tonga, you Ndebele, you Shona, you Baby, you Swati. I don't hear much of it, especially in Diepsloot where I'm at. And when I encounter people who speak Zulu so fluently, and after they tell me that they are Swati, and I'm like, what a waste of energy.
What do you mean?
Because that language is sexy, but goosebumps.
That's the thing. We are African, so being an African, being an African, it means you having to learn all these languages. So I am an African, I can speak Tonga. I am an African, I can speak Sepedi or whatever the language is. And it's a thing of, I've always had people saying, oh, Venda people don't want to speak Chivenda and whatnot. We are Africans. I'm okay if I'm speaking with you in your language. I'm okay with that. Like, honestly, I don't feel like, I need to be speaking Chivenda for you to. I know I am a Venda woman.
We don't ever get to hear about
Chimrano the goodies, and then when you come back, we'll learn. But anyway,
welcome to
the show, Felicia.
Thank you.
So Felicia, please tell us who you are. That nice intro that you were doing, they love it. Tell our viewers who this is, this beautiful lady that will be sitting next to you right here.
Thank you, Lee, the sunflower, for the opportunity, and you, Lalas, as well, for the amazing invitation. So, like you have mentioned, my name is Felicia Khumalo. I also have a traditional name, which is Nobukhosi, and I have a self-given name, which is Nobuhle. So the story behind having those names is kind of funny, but just in short, Nobukhosi was given to me by my aunt, and then because I was raised by my mother's side, I really didn't have the connection with the name, like knowing it or hearing it often. So when I was growing up, I forgot my name. Like, I know my aunt gave me a Zulu name. Kojo, what is it? What is it? Nobu? Yeah. And then I just said, you know what, I'll be Nobukhosi. Nobuhle, I mean. So by the time I met my aunt, she's like, no, we're going to Nobukhosi. And Nobuhle has picked up, it's familiar. People know it, people love it. So now I have like 3 names.
Wow, this is the only child that keeps on giving herself names.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because you use that name, the Nobuhle name.
Yes.
Is it on your thing?
Facebook.
Your document?
Not documents. Nobuhle is only on my Facebook.
So on your identity, it's Nobukhosi.
Felicia.
You have one name.
Yeah.
And then the other names.
No wonder why you forgot.
No, exactly. If Nobukhosi was on the identity, and then she would know.
Exactly. It would have been Nobukhosi, maybe we would have been calling you Khosi.
Am I about
something like that. What do you mean ba mo tlwaela?
No, ba mo tlwaela whatever mo ba mo diretseng the identity gore ba mo fe leina la English.
No.
Because this one,
yeah,
how I know her, she's too African.
No, but here's the thing, right?
No.
I don't have a child. I don't know how that process go by.
Yeah.
But I think what I know is you as the mother, you have to write the names of the child and the son names, right? For them, for the hospital to go and do whatever that certificate and stuff. So if her mother didn't write Nobukhosi, how then would have she put it? I mean, she can only go to Home Affairs now and be like, I want this name.
And my mom decided to write Kulu instead of Kulufelo. And
is it only Kulu?
Yeah, I'm Kulu.
And I heard you saying William is your first name and
that's why because that's how I feel about myself. And from the primary.
Because the parent is like
let me tell you. Whoever placed it on that thing on the document without questioning it on my birth certificate, without questioning even William Shakespeare or William Smith.
Yeah.
Mara
then you see maybe that's why you had William.
Yeah, they just.
But imagine if nurses were asking each and every person. Yeah. Advocate, doctor, all these names.
Today you were telling me about King.
Yes.
Someone whose name is King.
Yes, the same way there's a name Queen, Princess, Prince.
The funniest name I ever had was Mudimu.
Mudimu?
Hey, here is a child who was named Mudimu.
Mudimu?
Yeah, like as in God.
That is amazing.
That is amazing.
Maybe there's a story behind it, isn't it?
Always.
That's it could be having a positive.
Naming a child is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not like the Western where you like Gloria or whatsoever. Usually names have a meaning. Yeah. Names tell your story. They are your intro. You have to say your name everywhere. Yes. So it's like it's your first ID, your identity document or whatever. So and it's one of the reasons why I made it a goal to seek for my African namesake. What is it exactly? I know what I've given myself Nobuhle, but what is it? And when I found out that it's Nobukhosi, I went to find out what does it mean.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, mother of royalties, guys, and it just explained me. It explained my personality. It explained my likes, my dislikes, my strengths, my weaknesses. It just made a lot of things easier for me in terms of self-identity, which is something that I believe most young people are suffering with, because obviously start with parents, and sadly most of young people are not raised by their parents. They're being raised by either the streets, the school, friends, neighbors, because either parents are forced to go to work or the parents are just not in the mental state to be their parents, because maybe basebenza emakhishin. So they are the parents of their boss's children. So by the time they get home, they can't be a parent anymore. They want to rest because they've been speaking English without knowing English, and it's a long story. Yeah. So but then the name part, I think we should start paying attention to it, because even Lala's is like, why bam feel cool, but Lala's cool. Isn't that cool? No.
Exactly.
Yeah, now when I use it as a
exactly.
Yeah, because
it's like it's the name. It's
unique. What if the mom was like, what does Kulu mean?
So every time Kulufelo means hope. So Kulu is just a shortcut of it. And then Kulu on its own, it doesn't mean big. That's if you are mispronouncing it and you want to call me Kulu, which I might be Kulu.
Yeah.
But when Kulu on its own doesn't have a meaning, but in complete, it's like it's hope. Kulufelo, it's hope. That's what it means. And every time when I write my name at What If, and then every time when I write my name on their register, when I enter there, I always write Lala School. I never write my little names. And the other day, other security guard was like, so Kulu, vele say name ya how? Because there they say name and say name.
Exactly.
And I say Lala's cool.
So you have hope in a way.
And you won't believe it. Now, when the company I work for, the manager when they sent me a contract there, it came with my names. They wrote William Sohobela, they made brackets and said Lama School on a job contract. And I was like, this company respects me. I'm never resigning here. I'm staying forever. They're the ones who know who I want to be.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really
Because
nice.
I loved the name growing up. But as I grew up, Lina La William, I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because everybody, William, I got used to it. William. But when I grew up and getting attached to Kolufelo, knowing what Kolufelo is, I even got angry. Why did they call me? And I asked, I think it's not my mom who put the name there. It's my aunt. My aunt, because she's just one, she loved playing with me. So she thought everything.
Yeah,
This one
that's
will be cool.
something. So I want you to tell us when you went to your aunt and asked about your second name.
Yeah.
Like, what was this? Why did she give you that specific name?
Yeah, ne. I like to believe that naming a child is a spiritual thing. Even themselves might not know why they give that name to you because they haven't met you, they don't know you, you know. And it could be it's a name of someone, but I'm following up on my family to understand and uncover my family tree. Because when you're a young person growing in a township, you are quick to identify yourself as a township person. But
Yeah.
I have a background, I have rurals, I have family, and when you're also in the township, it's family next another family, it's another family, it's another family. Unlike in the rurals whereby a whole block perhaps is the same surname, but it's sons going out to some building my own thing. I don't wanna depend on the family. So sadly, it wasn't really my aunt who told me what was my name. I had to ask my dad because my aunt is no more, sadly.
Oh.
Yeah, but then I was just happy to know what okay, this is the actual name that I was given to, and its meaning and its characteristics that it holds. It just really uplifted me. And because like Kuli is saying, like he likes saying I'm young because of my energy, but you can't be dull and lead nations. You get what I'm saying? You can't be low and uplift people. You know, you have to start by being uplifted yourself so that you can distribute that feeling to other people.
So you can't be a leader with an attitude of a follower.
Yes.
That is amazing. That's amazing. So please describe your upbringing for us. I'm keen to know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
I wasn't
ready for this.
I wasn't gonna
in
go
my level or
Yeah.
my where I'm at in life. You know, I was preparing for this question when I have my first million or something like
now
that.
where you come from. That's what he wants to know, where you come from.
Yeah, just your upbringing.
My upbringing, I'm a Gogo's child. Like I said, my parents were living in Johannesburg. So, okay, let me just tell it like a storyteller. Now I'm like, okay, I was born to a teenage mom, and while they were in school. So after they finished school, they had to move to Johannesburg to start their own life. So the upbringing was taken over by my grandmother and my grandfather, along with my uncle, who I've called a brother all my life because he's 5 years older than me. And yeah, in the household, we've only been four. And I'm also I'm a mixed nationality. I have Zimbabwean background and I'm born and raised in South Africa. And my mother's side is really keeping in contact with their Zimbabwean side, which means that I used to visit Zimbabwe often while I was young. I mean, I've had 3 passports already at this age. And yeah, you know, my mom, Joburg, I really can't say much, but you know, being a person from Diepsloot or from a township, you do know that situations force you to look outside the house. And that is why I've always been a community involved young person. That's why Lalas know me. That's why Sud FM knows me. That's why the community at large kind of know me because I've been involved in projects that allowed me to not be at home and develop myself and contribute into making my community a better place for me and everybody who lives in it.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That so you say your maternal family is from Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
and your paternal family is from South Africa.
that's the nice part. They are both from Zimbabwe, but my maternal side is the one that got South African documents because my grandfather came here first during the struggles and stuff, and he was really involved. And during that, that's when my grandmother also came through, and it was the fight against apartheid government and stuff. So when it came down, there was opportunities for everyone to apply for documents. So it was then where they got South African documents. Yes.
That's amazing. Like that's really interesting. I've been to Zimbabwe when I was still young. I have the what again passport. That picture that you see behind my phone there. Yeah, that's my passport picture. Like it's interesting. It really is interesting.
Yeah, I want to ask something.
Yeah.
So you never had any problems with you and documents?
No and yes. No and yes. So that's actually one of the things that I want to expose in terms of challenges that us mixed nationalities face, because also in our communities there's xenophobic acts, which include xenophobic talks like kwere kwere, whatever, those kind of things.
Those who still talk kwere kwere now, are they not advanced?
And also there's this thing of people not being able to differentiate between illegal immigrants and legal immigrants, you see, and then everyone is the same. So it and the fact that my grandparents got here during a lot of fights, it put fear into them. You see, there was a lot of fear, and that is why they were able to get scammed by some people in the Home Affairs to say you gotta pay something. But I kept on telling them, Mom, Uba Okulu, like Ubaba worked hard for this identity, for this card. And therefore we should enjoy it. And that's why when they started listening to me, we went to Home Affairs without any extra person helping us, and we got the papers normally to show that we are in the system, everything is proper, everything is straight. But it was that fear to say, hey, we are hearing stories that people's documents are being cancelled. You have to pay something to stay in the. But I'm like, not anymore. There's internet. I really want to thank internet for its existence, because you're able to find information that you wouldn't necessarily find word to word or through experience, because people's experiences are not the same. And one thing that also made me have confidence was in this young fully South African individual who had a tough time getting their ID. Like they had the toughest time, but they managed to get it. At the same time, I know in other South African from KZN and stuff, they still don't have an ID even today. Because of challenge.
There's a lot.
Yeah, so there's those situations made me feel like, you know what, maybe my challenge is not that unique, and just doing it the right way just gonna save me a lot, because now I was gonna be scared to even mention that I'm from Zim or that I'm because then it's like but maybe the officials are gonna look me up and find something fishy. So it's been a lot of contributions that actually made me feel this comfortable to talk about it. Also, I'd like to also give a shout out to Nadia Nikay for making it public. She also has Zimbabwean background. She's second generation South African, meaning 2 generations back it's Zimbabwean. You see, and then there's also DJ Oskido making it public. So it was that thing was, okay, maybe I can be open about where I'm from.
I think like I for one, I'm so proud whenever I see someone who's like they take pride in who they are and where they come from, right? And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. There's this I almost said like the exact like description. I'm not sure if they're gonna be comfortable with me talking about it here. But like there's this family that I know, right? And they from Zim, and they don't want to say that we are from Zim. They would rather say I'm from Messina, and also because like Shona is like similar to Venda, if you know Venda, it's easy for you to learn Shona. And it's also the other way around, because maybe they learned Venda so quick, and then they like when you ask them where you come from, they're like, no, I'm from Messina. Someone would say, I'm from Njerere, but where in Njerere? Njerere is big. Like if you're saying you are from, you can't say I'm from Johannesburg. Where in Joburg? You understand? You have to say I'm from Diepsloot or Cosmo or Alex or Tembisa. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like and it's sad to see, because then when someone speaks, le ge Mopedi a ka bolela Sevenda wa mo kwa man gore man. I'm sure even when I speak my Sepedi, it's not as fluent as someone who grew up in Seshego and they were writing that Sepedi. So it's like very important to have people like you who would come on board, like even the other ones that you mentioned, that they would say, this is where I come from. Or maybe because they're scared, because of certain things. I mean, we know the type of community that we live in. The moment you say this is where I'm coming from, then there are those stereotypes and whatnot. Because also even in workplace, if I say I'm from Diepsloot, then already it's like
judging you.
You understand?
Use that against you.
You understand? So I want to pose a question to you. Like, were you ever in a room, especially in this community involvement things that you want to tell us where you did your community work and your involvement? Was there ever a community project that you were working on where you said, I'm from Zim, and you were treated otherwise because of your origins?
No. And it comes back to the family that you're referring to say this is actually deep, because for Ndebele, right? And we all know that Ndebele's are Zulus that traveled to Rhodesia during the war between Mzilikazi and Ushaga. So that is why our surnames or Itagazeloze to they interact, they come together as one. And that is why every year in Zimbabwe, around September, when we celebrate Mzilikazi, Zulus from South Africa do come to Zimbabwe to celebrate this day with us, because they acknowledge the connection and that we are only separated by the borders. So to answer your question, no, because as an individual myself, I lost a family member due to xenophobic attacks. And that is why older generation made it clear that if you don't have to, don't mention it, don't bring it up, because then you're bringing unnecessary attention to us. And we have people that have an issue with immigrants, regarding how hard they work, how they sacrifice a lot to be in this country. Therefore, they'll do anything that it takes for them to survive. So when it comes to xenophobic attacks, even though they know you are legally here, right, they can still use the powers of the mass of that situation to come and attack you and destroy the little things that you have done. You get me? So no, I really never worried with pride, but instead I always wore the fact that I'm from Diepsloot with pride. And I always, usually made it as a joke to say, I'm from Diepsloot, to show that, because I knew what type of person I am. Once I speak sense, I speak something that builds. So I was hoping that they would say, okay, Diepsloot is not all bad. Look at her. Maybe then give Diepsloot an opportunity to say, let me get to know you first before I jump to conclusions due to what the media has told me or what a few individuals have told me.
Yeah. And for real, now I don't really think you really need to be going out there and saying, advocating for the Zimbabwean nation, or maybe going out there trying to convince them otherwise. Because trust me, believe me, with so much work that you've done in community, which we tapping deep into it now, people would still find something wrong in you, even if you do everything right. You understand?
Yes.
So the more you attack situations with justification, they're gonna use that justification to actually make you look worse of a person. And you can never please them. If you grew up in Diepsloot, you went to Iterele.
I was born in Coronation. Immediately after, brought to Diepsloot, and I've been in Diepsloot ever since.
Exactly, and that's your immediate identity.
Yeah,
that's your immediate identity. So now I want to know the organizations that you've worked with. What are they?
Okay, so
what were you doing there?
I'll go back as far as school, because also I believe it played a role. So in my primary, I went to Riverside first for 5 grades, and there I was part of, in grade 3, I was part of a modeling.
Who didn't go to Riverside? I think We all did.
Yeah, people went to
the Riverside. Yes, who didn't go there? Because I also went there, but you can go.
You did your primary.
Well, yeah, I went to Riverside. I went to Diepsloot as well, but that's a story for another day. You can continue.
Nice to meet you, Riverside sister.
Yeah.
But can't teach about school. I'm going to start on the shoot. Go to Shati, go to class. Okay, but not the plastic.
Well, I was Diepsloot. I got to go to wait.
I see fancy Riverside principal. Hello, it's not fancy.
So yeah, until grade 5, and then grade 3 I was part of the modeling team. Grade 4 I tried debate or spelling bee actually, which like kicked me because I have a super active brain. You know, that's why I thrive in creativity and business, because then I can use my quick brain to solve solutions, to come up with ideas instead of memorizing words. And then grade 5 then was netball. And then grade 5, my brother, who I followed to Riverside, got out of school. So grade 6, then that's when I left Diepsloot to stay with my father in Joburg for 1 year. And then after that, grade 7, I came back to Muzuluzi. And then that when grade 7, I was part of San. There was a dancing project there where they brought PJ Power, they brought Umangaliso from Scandal at the time, they brought different people. I think even Miss South Africa came to us once in a while where we were dancing, theatrical dance. So we were telling our story through dance with our costume, and there was a cop, and our show was Cops and Crooks. And that's when I was introduced to art. And I was like, okay, that's nice. So grade 8, I went to Itirele Zenzele. I met Mzansi Fela, which was a drama organization teaching drama in high schools, where we performed in number 10. Westwood FM was. There was an open space there. That's where we were performing. And then grade 9, 8, Konalapo, after that drama thingy, I got introduced to Diepsloot Youth in Action by Nkamiso Ntuli, which he started when he was only 17 years old, and during grade 11. Through DYA, we then performed at State Theatre and other 2 theatres that I usually forget their name, but they're also in Pretoria. And then grade 9, I was part of Youth Enterprise Society that was brought into our school by ESCOM, partnering with other organization called Simamaranta. Yeah, that's where now I got a lot of exposure to the community, because we were forced to have market days in the malls, go around our community, do good, like clean up the community, do some agriculture in school, pick up papers and things like that. And yeah, that happened until grade 11 simultaneously. So after school, 10 past 2 until 3, it's yes. Go home, change. 4, I go to DYA at the community center. So then I would have yes, and then have DYA, where we also simultaneously performing at State Theatre, because we had a 2-year contract, or we were part of a 2-year project where we were given a script and then we must perform it. And then second year, we are now given the pleasure to write our own script. And yeah, I'm privileged enough. I was part of that program 4 years, because the first 2 years was with DYA, the second 2 years was with Propaganda Arts, and that's where we collected a lot of awards, from Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting, even some nominees. And then Metric, because of the arts participation of mine, I was then exposed to our local radio station, Diepsloot FM, with Mastermind Gerald Gubeni,
the motivational speaker.
But like, you know what, you have something, girl, come to my show, let me be a guest. And then I don't know if the people loved me or he loved my energy on stage. He's like, you know what, be my co-host on Saturdays. And that's what I did throughout my metric. And when it was my gap year, it was like, take over Mfundo show. It was targeting young people, sharing experiences, giving an exposure to young talents whenever we could, but then obviously keeping in line with the type of music that we had to play, which limited me to expose local artists, because most of our local artists are doing the same thing. Hip hop, trap, it's rare even to find gospel. Gospel was this older gentleman, Wamuvenda, who used to come to perform with us. Outreach with Diepsloot FM.
We have them. They try to run away from that though.
They did because they were trying to be.
Except Sony B.
Okay. Yes. Oh my God.
Don't forget Sony B.
Yeah, and so
and
because
Victor.
And Victor. Yeah. So because of my Diepsloot FM participation, I was then able to host my only pens down. So far, that's the only pens down I've held as Lenda, using the connections I've got in the Diepsloot FM, and the money that we made literally went to the artists. The artists were given tickets to sell. Every money they made goes to them. None of the money I made was to cover up the venue and the marketing costs. You see, so that was my trade. Gap year, I was part of film and television learnership under All African Media Foundation. It's a young female youth funded organization that
when was that?
2019 gap year. Yeah, because I finished my matric in 2018. Okay. So that one was happening in Joburg, and we were shooting music videos, short films, doing script writing, and etc. And then simultaneously, because it was sometimes part-time, I created a after-school project in Yana, helping primary kids with extra classes or extra lessons, because I saw that gap year, teachers are tired.
Yeah,
teachers are hungry. Having the same amount on your payslip years and years and years, it is draining. I experienced it few months and I was like, what?
This is not
working. But people don't have that privilege to leave because maybe they have families that forces them to just bambezela kulokho. At least we get to eat. At least our siblings get to have school shoes and stuff. So because I didn't have that, at least I was able to leave those jobs. Otherwise, get there. And that's 2019. 2020, then I went to university, Nelson Mandela University, studying a Bachelor of Public Administration and Business Management. So public administration is basically serving the public. It's a course that politicians have to take because it's about serving the public. And it's something I'm passionate about if you haven't picked it up. So that was amazing. That was an amazing experience. But business management was kind of boring for me because thanks to years, everything they were teaching, I already know. And we've actually lived it, done it, spoken to the market, done market research in the community, which you don't get in university because it's usually theory.
So I want to ask you, Felicia, I've heard you mention community work a lot. I think you've done that, you've lived it. I don't know if you still do, but you are one person who is within that. There's something that Lala's made me notice, especially when we're walking around our neighborhood, which is Diepsloot. Every time when we walk here, he would be actually telling me, Smang Mang was doing this and that and that, this was doing this and this and that. But if there's something that I noticed is that most people that were involved in community work, it doesn't it reaches if it never goes to the other side. It never really materializes. You understand?
You can move from being a servant co community to go back to being just a beneficiary to the very same organization.
You understand? And you being in all those different community projects.
Yes.
I think maybe you've also came across people that were there as the community servant. Next thing they're the beneficiary.
Yeah.
But it's not hierarchical in a sense that you can go from one step to the next to the next. It can be boom, 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 and mostly it's boom and then boom, 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 boom. And then it's parallel now.
Yeah.
You as an individual, why do you think it's like that for most of our people here in Diepsloot, where it never they never do community work and then we see it materializing? And when I say materializing, I don't mean maybe the community work that they're doing giving them money or more than they should be giving, because also you are volunteering. They can the company or whatever project, they're giving you what they can at that moment. You understand? I'm saying in terms of maybe people wanting to develop themselves in a sense that, okay, I was doing PR there, let me go start my own PR company. Or okay, I was doing marketing, how about I go do marketing and then it materializes for me? Why do you think is the reason for people in our community to just go do those things, and then tomorrow it amounts to nothing in a way.
That's a very beautiful question here, because it happens more than it should, if you ask me. But then it opens your eyes to the reality of life. I like your example. That's life, even the weather, rain, sun, rain, sun, rain, sun.
Yeah.
But then the propaganda is programming us to expect life to be linear. Metric, university, job, marriage, house, car, everything, all in order. No, that's not how it works, So when now life doesn't happen as you planned, even me, I planned my life like until the age of 21, because I couldn't wait to turn 21. And when things are not going as I planned, like, where's the license? Where is the car? Where's the
soulmate?
Where's the soul?
She knows why I didn't want to celebrate my 31st.
Right?
And I was like, I'm not. I was forced by my surrounding. So please do something special for yourself. Because I was like, now I'm finishing the camera. I'm still renting. I'm still paying for sleeping. No, this is unfair. Because when I did grade 10, I was like, when I get to 31st, I want to resign. But which job are you resigning from? Because I still work for charity organization. And I'm like, I can't resign now because I have nothing stable. Because I thought by that time I would be owning a film company. And then when I resign, I'll be owning, multiple companies, like this film company being an umbrella and have sub companies. I do have company, registered company. It's not doing well. I have side hustles. They're not really doing that way that I can leave my job now, the stable one, and say I depend on this. But like I was saying yesterday, that we plan, God decide.
So you see, that's the answer to the question, to say life doesn't go as you plan.
But I can ask something on that.
Okay.
Don't you think the job mentality where there's no job does contribute to that? Like community projects that are around, name like your Africa Tikkun, your Sanka. There's a reason why they even emphasize when they pay you that this is not a salary, it's a stipend. And you want to treat it as a salary, you want to make it because there's a need for job. You understand? So I'm like, don't you think taking it as a job could be a problem? Because it's not going to give you the benefit of jobs. When it's done, that contract, it's done. And it's a place where you just have to grow. But then now they also get to feel empathetic for us that Shem Lalas, if he lives here,
when you're saying that, you are reminding me, before she answers me, there's this fellow that I know. The fellow was working at this other, let me just say, organization. And the fellow, like, he was getting like good money, Good, let me not say good money, but good stipend. It was a contract. I think it was 1 or 2 years. And I'm not laughing because it's funny, but because like, you understand? The fellow went and got a car, and after the job, he couldn't pay it back. They had to take it back. Like, I'm not laughing because no.
No, you are laughing. Hey, the fellow.
No, it's affecting me. But I'm just saying, live within your means. Yeah, volunteering.
Yeah, we should recognize that, eh?
Yeah.
But I think you might be having a different answer.
Yeah.
No, I feel like everything comes back to environment. Remember, we were saying Gasila Rona is a concentrated camp. You know what I mean? It was created with goals, vision, mission to keep people in that area so that they are able to work in the higher class areas like fourways, selling meat, because we can't afford to stay there, or they don't want us to stay there. So they had to create Amagasi to accommodate the people that stay there.
The seventh, us.
You see what I mean?
To keep the servants nearby.
Exactly, because now we can travel from Mahaya and you know what I mean? But they don't want us to have houses either, because we feel like we don't need to work for them. That's why there's shags and stuff, and that's why there's a delay in housing matters being resolved, because it's all part of a bigger system. Housing is a point in a bigger web, including education, religion, finance. emotional intelligence, communication. These are the things that are not in there in school, because school itself, it's part of the bigger web. Yeah, I understand. It's one room in this mansion house of systems. Yeah, but so to come back to the point, get this gentleman who bought a car. It shows you what the environment is doing its job. It is making you think you need a car before you have your own room that you're not paying rent to. We laugh at people who stay at 13, extension 12, because they're regarded as one of the worst places to stay in, but we forget that those people actually have more space compared to some here, where they can grow their own food. Now they don't even need to work because they have a roof over their head, they have food growing in the garden. Why are you working? You get? So even rent in itself is now a sub system created by the housing system, created by a bigger system to ensure that the majority stay in control of the systems.
Actually, the minority.
We black people are the majority.
But
everywhere in the world.
We are controlled by the minority.
Yes. Or the world is being controlled by the minority. And that is why they are using media to make us think, well, maybe we are equal. Maybe it's 50-50. Or maybe there are more. Because every movie, they are there. It's only them. You see? So now it's when you watch documentaries that expose this thing that is called white supremacy, you realize that, Haibo, white people are only 8% of the whole world. Yes, not
Baba photocopy movie. Baba.
So Felicia, do you think
she's white?
What do you mean? What can you be, cousin T?
I see you're like, please don't be racist.
Do you? No. Do you think that I'll say the youth here, because all of three of us here are still like very young.
Yeah.
Do you think that the youth of this community that we live in align with who they are? And when I say who they are, I mean, do they know their roots? Do they know where they come from? Because I think there's this slogan that says, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know who you are. And we tend to use it very lightly, and which is very true. I'll just make an example to this fellow that bought a car. This fellow, if he knew that his background, if he knew that after this stipend I wouldn't afford to buy a car because I don't have any money from back then, he wouldn't have started that. So do you think that the young people here in our community are aligned with who they are? They know where they come from, their roots.
Yeah, what I've learned about the youth of Diepsloot, you can't box it. I can't answer that question accurately. I can't even think for them, because the more I hang out with these young people, I meet people like Lalas. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying people that are conscious about themselves. Like me, I was conscious about myself even when I didn't know of course. But I knew that there's higher calling or higher power driving me to be this thing that turns out to be in relation to my name. So I believe, yes, honestly, everything comes back to environment. But to answer your question, you could find out that they don't know, because the system is doing such a great job distracting us. Keeping the noise and distraction with music, with food, the gota, with TV shows, with now social media, TikTok. We are so distracted, you can't even take the time to ask yourself, what does my name mean? Where is my surname coming from? You know what I mean? And we have these angry parents, tired parents, distant parents. We can't even start to ask them. Then the issue of data comes in, or just to think, let me search something relevant to me. People rather invest data to apply for a job, and they see it worthless to invest into data to know more about themselves. Where you will discover who too much, hope up, it's gold. Because who too much. And that's why we have lawyers. You know what I mean? And on top of not being exposed to the right material, we have, as part of the noise and distractions, we have community members name calling us, judging us before they know us. My 2000. How so as a song? All of us, my 2000 now, you know all of us. Because my 5, you know.
She finally said it.
Yeah. And that is why I admire people like Uncle Waffles.
Yeah.
Because get it 2000, Nomfundo, get it 2000. Now we have Tyler. Get it 2000, you see, and if you go overseas, you see a lot of them. Nicole, you know, the YouTubers, Mang, they're making real money with what we laugh at. Papa, oh, nali energy ngata yokuxela, oh, unali udom, or what. Even though that talent or that calling is burning you, that is burning you more. So you rather deal with this burn that nobody can see, nobody can judge you for, than be on stage and be laughed at by the whole community without even knowing if this thing is gonna buy you food.
So Felicia, like, was there any other project here in our community that you were involved in, that what you were like, see, this one is like my favorite, and not your favorite in terms of maybe you enjoyed it, you enjoyed doing the work, but because you saw the impact that it had on the person on the other side? Was there any? Can you think of maybe one, two?
Uh, the reason why I'm taking time to respond is that different organizations deal with different issues.
Yeah.
And their goals are different. Some is not to take you out of poverty, but to help you start thinking of how you can take yourself out of poverty. Like instead of giving someone a fish, teach them how to fish. And that is why, actually, to come back to your first question in terms why do people don't go up, 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 is that with DYA, for example, the people that we were part of DYA together, they went to school first, they went to university again, and then now for DYA to recruit passionate young people like us was hard, because now young people start drinking at 13, having sex at 11, dating taxi drivers is at 14. So the environment now has changed how it influences us, which is like the water we are getting as a plant we are, and help us grow. So we grow in that sense to say, is gonna take me out of poverty because of how you're programmed to think. You get me? So that is why actually DYA theater part or performing arts had to like go silent for a minute because of that. But to show the passion for it, it continued doing sports with soccer. And honestly speaking, it's doing great things, because even Siyabonga Gwenza, if I'm not saying the name wrong, it's from DYA. But recently they were seen on Scandal. Even me, I'm a product of DYA, but I was. You see? Yeah. And even I was part of DYA, and I went to university, and I was one of the first executive of a new society that is targeting female students to empower them with skills to start up their own businesses so that they can be more independent, because being financially dependent to someone makes you dependent. You get what I'm saying?
He who feeds you controls you.
Exactly.
Tell us more about this new project you're working on. I see your statuses are all about companies. It's like a lot of companies in one. What's happening there?
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, I was doing a business management at Skoleni, and it's something I'm passionate about. So I'm all about helping Diepsloot local small businesses gain marketing or gain sales through helping them with their marketing strategies. So I'm more like a business consultant, a business developer type of person in those small businesses. Yeah, so, and it's an organization that I want to use to fill in the gap between the youth and the small businesses operating in Diepsloot. For example, you might not even know that the Muntu Tunga next door would appreciate you as a young person to just come there and clean up. Meanwhile, you are learning a skill of Utunga, for example, or because you did commerce in high school, you understand a ledger, you understand accounting a little bit more, and you can help them with books or bookkeeping and stuff, which gives you experience to get a better job as a bookkeeper or a clerk or something like that. So I also just want to open up the youth of Diepsloot to different ways to get to the bag that don't usually mean exchanging 4 years of your time at school where you still have to come back and get experience. Yeah, well, and that is why when I came back from school, one first thing I did was, I'm here, use me. How can I help you prosper? How can I help you get more young people into the organization? How can I make the performing arts blossom and shine as it did before? Yeah, but so as young people, if you can do that, just go back to the organizations you've been part of or that you were never part of. Give your time. And by being there, you don't know what kind of opportunities you're exposing yourself to. I met through DYA and my volunteering now, I just met one of the awesome pastors of Diepsloot who's building a school of arts, for Diepsloot and nearby townships, because he saw how young people are invested in music and in art. And now he's like, you know what, let's do this. Let's tell us how can we reach out to these young people. So I hope, I know that I can share this because even promo videos are out and they were asking us to share them. And that's I hope I answered your question.
How do you think is the most quickest way to get the young people engaged in stuff here?
Honestly speaking, that's one of the things I'm working on finding out. But during my research and preparation to coming back, it was always being creating those safe space for young people to be young people without alcohol. Like before, or in other communities, coffee shop thrives. Coffee shops where there's no alcohol because you can get there, buy a cup of tea, have access to Wi-Fi. And just by being there, you're working on your laptop, I'm working on my laptop, I'm like, hey, hi, I'm sorry to disturb, but what you're doing looks so familiar. A relationship is created just like that, being in the same space. And that is why I believe young people flag these group spaces because they don't have other places to mingle as young people. And when they get there, it's loud noise, it's alcohol influence, they can't even really bond. That's why the only thing that comes out is either rape cases, fights, stabbings, or just someone breaking the bank because now alcohol wants you to continue buying, and now your life is on a standstill. So we may blame them, say, all you do is drink, 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 but what else do you want me to do when you're not even developing the packs where I used to hang out with my friends?
Oops.
Yeah, like it's if there's anything, we are always hearing the same song. Like it's same song, it's just different tune. Like the lyrics are the same.
You say on Kasian cover, especially
same.
when it comes to the issue of the playgrounds, the parks,
the art.
Somebody was asking me like, because we're gonna have that guy on the show.
Yeah,
right? He's a street vendor.
Yeah.
But he says he's passionate to talk about Kasi because he's there. So he was saying, what kind of Kasi is Diepsloot where there's no stadium? And I was like, what are you saying? He said, every Kasi that I come from, I stayed, there was a stadium.
What if you want to do a festival?
Yeah.
Where do we do it?
He said, I stayed in Alex, there's a stadium. In Soweto, there's a stadium. Where I come from in Mpumalanga, there's a stadium. And I'm like, really? I didn't even know because this is the Kasi I came, at least go because I was performing there.
Yeah.
No, Alex, I was performing at the stadium, so I knew they had a stadium.
Yeah. And it looks big. Well, I've never been inside, but I've seen like the outside.
And that's another thing also that we don't look at, that's why they have control over the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
To keep us viewing the same image. The fact that we don't know these things, you can't even do about it. You can't think of, hey, but we need a stadium as well.
Exactly.
Maybe it doesn't have.
Maybe we don't all everywhere like this.
Yeah, because it's like Diepsloot on its own. It's like every space, it has to be my friend's shop or cook for renting. Every space that is available, it has to be there. It's like always obvious, as you said. But Godfrey mentioned that this was a camp. The deputy said a camp. When you started, you said a camp so that we are close to. And we view it as a camp, and we are all here. We are just comfortable and happy with camping.
Imagine.
I mean, but also, I don't think it's a matter of like just being comfortable. It's also lack of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if we knew that actually we ought to have these things. I mean, there probably someone who doesn't know that where Camper number 2 was supposed to be a playground. Imagine if we knew that and we're like, actually, this is the playground. You take your shacks. We understand you need shelter, but not here. Yes. You understand? This is the playground. Yes. This we need to see soccer. We need to see netball. We need to see volleyball going on here. You understand? Also, it's like lack of knowledge, and also, I think for someone who, when you don't know something, that's why they say, what you don't know doesn't kill you. You understand? Because you don't know, it doesn't affect you. But if you knew, every day when you pass there, it bothers you that actually, by the way.
And on that statement that you just said, in terms of what you don't know doesn't kill you, I think it raised the eyebrows to say, but I don't know about white supremacy, and it's definitely killing me every day. Exactly. And so therefore some things thrive being in the dark, being unknown. Then it comes back to saying knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Knowing and applying what you know is power, because then you can now you can start like making more informed decisions than you could.
Knowledge is power.
I'm very excited that we really are having you today. In most of these conversations, I gather that as much as we say, what are they doing? But from where I'm seated and looking at the three of us, do you groove?
No.
Your no has groove inside.
I have longed to be in the same space with young people. So I have went to groove once in a lifetime.
When you say groove, you mean, what do you mean?
Do you always go to groove?
No.
Are you a weekend
when
party?
You say groove,
when they
you mean
say
like party?
No.
Like going to Slender.
I don't mention that.
Like they're here.
Okay. Yeah, but we once hosted, when I was still under the management of DJ Broken, Little Entertain. No, it wasn't Little is the one we went. I forgot what it was, but when I was still under his management, he hosted me Ghostlender. It didn't really look like a tavern though, but it's a tavern.
Was it at the time where it was upstairs?
Yeah. It didn't really look.
So what was your question? Why are you asking?
Now what I'm saying is, when I'm talking about groove, but actually little man caribal paps tsakokasi le tsa go pitura ke na taba di ka go toropong man lo gona mo tlala batho ba bangwe ba roba ba nyaka mavuso. And then one, do you go to such place on every public holiday or every weekend?
Public holiday. You're bringing in a very interesting topic, because even the calendar itself is another system. I would be called system.
We have Manyana system.
What is system?
I believe we live under system.
I'm interested in the why. Why
because I don't want to say something wrong, and let me just say something wrong. Let me say it as wrong as it is. There are still people like us who don't find entertainment in being drunk. In that kind of a vibe. The fact that and then after 2 weeks and say but really, you understand, and then we're not even gonna pay it back, and we always have this thing. And I'm saying that, what role can the youth themselves play in terms of, because we know that not really our forefathers, the ones who did not play their part in protecting the land of Diepsloot and allowed the shacks and everything to be everywhere, even in spaces where it's supposed to be shacks. You understand? Because the ones that came before us failed. What is it that this generation can do? The ones that are here. Are we giving up and say, yeah, it is done? Or do you believe that these
what makes you say they have failed? Did you speak to any of them? And they
because it already, It's interesting. We had the first podcast. I would like you to go watch it. Whichever podcast ended, we discussed a lot about it.
Yeah, that's
And
the first
we were,
episode.
yeah, we were asking a lot about the leadership, the structure of Diepsloot, how did it come? And actually, we didn't even ask him about the fact that Batwaleti the playground. He's the one who raised it, just like you did. But the difference was because they are the first group that came here and saw all these things happen.
I think, Lalas, it's very easy for us to say they failed us because like, we were not there.
Yes.
And I for one, I think this is my personal opinion. I don't think they failed. They did what they could with what they had. You know,
and what they knew.
100%. Because I think back then I really my struggles are not my grandmother's struggles, are not my mother's struggles, right? My grandmother fought so that my mother could be at school. You understand? Then a girl child can go to school. You understand? So I can't say my grandmother failed me, whereas my mother went to school and now my mother didn't have to fight for me to go to school. She didn't fail me. She did what she could, you know. I think we can just say not that they failed. They took us from one level to the next. So we are here now. What do we do? Their struggles of yesterday are not today's struggles.
I'm confused. I'm not campaigning bring back the land type of it.
No,
we understand.
We understand what you are saying.
I'm saying that what is it that youth can do to move from only finding these youth people are killing to live fun, 3-letter words.
But also, Lalas, this youth, it's not moving because the past generation failed it. It's moving because the past generation took them to a certain level. What do you do from this level to the next? As you are saying, this youth is being killed by fun. Which struggle have we passed? Which struggle have we fought with everything that we have? You understand? With everything that we have, with all the stuff that we do. I mean, we had the other generation. They fought whatever they fought, and then the next generation made sure that they fought what. Hence, I would say, we have leadership, and I'm gonna say leadership. Because they are having working. That's the first hand of leadership here in Diepsloot. They fought for this accommodation. I'm not saying it's good for us to not have grants and whatnot here, but they made sure that each household they have a shelter on their heads. You understand? Like, I don't know if you
so basically we are not saying you're advocating for bring back the land. We're just saying let's look for a way forward without looking down at the previous struggles that we're not there to.
Let's not look at what they did as failure because there's where they excelled. You understand? And that we have to take it from where we are to the next. We are not saying our leaders failed. Yes, they failed. Yes, there are those that they failed. But then when we look at it in generational they didn't fail. They had their own struggle.
It's us. We had too much of
my mother went to school and never pakidi soap I wasn't hungry at school because there was milk, there was whatever that I was getting. Thank you. You fish. You understand? So now we have Movite, we have tinea fish. What do we do? What are we bringing? That's what we are saying. So we shouldn't. We never gonna say they failed us. Yes, there's a point where
they didn't do everything for us.
You understand? But in this context that we are in now, they didn't fail us. They took us from one level to the next. And I'm not saying for the fact for you can agree with us, but like in our context, they took us from one level.
No, you have a point.
No,
you have a great point.
Spread that.
No, you have a very, very great point. They were not meant to do everything right. Even us, not everything right.
Even the foundation is wrong. Fun, as you said.
My question comes from a point of the space. I get city. I playground and stadium, right? This is where it comes from. And then the youth is overcrowded. Go playing, go groove. Right. So my question is, what can youth do to resolve this issue of being crowded? Go groove. What is it that they can do?
Honestly, they need to develop themselves.
Okay.
They need to focus on self-development because it is going to allow you to be a productive distributor once we meet as a community of young people. Because yeah, I'm thinking now, this thought actually came now, this answer came up now, and I'm thinking if it didn't come now, I was going to say we should come together and create something for us. But we know Hore, there's those oh I like succeed or they're jealous or what. So once you do self-development, self-introspection to say, actually, why do I have hate over this girl? Only to find out Hore, because your mom maybe hated the neighbor. It's not even about you. It's something you carry in your DNA. That is why even today's brainwashing didn't start when we were born. It's the brainwashing of years and years and years back. And that is why our ancestors or the people before us can't, and we also can't solve everything because there's a lot that is put against us. You get what I'm saying? And the fact that now we have homes, we can at least now, that if it's not overcrowded like most homes are, you can now sit with yourself and start introspecting to say, why get really morogo? Why ke tlhoile papa? Why ke rata kota? Why ke rata chicken?
Like, cabbage today.
Why
I want
say what cabbage? Exactly. What cabbage is known to be healthy.
You even have time to think about such things.
You know what I mean? Kind when you are in a space of
every time, and I think maybe I'm off this perspective because I just recently came back from home.
Yeah.
For me, my great grandmother is still alive. She get to tell us about her struggles, and when she speaks about whatever that she's saying, it's a thing of how Mugele, like you and I are living in two different worlds. What you're experiencing is like, oh Jesus Christ, you understand.
Yeah.
And then goes to my grandmother also, she has her own struggles, they have their own wins, because also they like it's good and bad, you understand. And then it showers down to my mother, you understand, and then it showers down to me, and then I get to learn that actually it's really not that bad. It's probably within more than it is outside.
Yes, and that is why self-development also includes you going through your bloodline to say, Mom, what happened to you? What issues were you dealing with? It's not only depression that is passed or HIV that is passed down through blood. Other things are also passed down, not only talent, not only facial similarities or body similarities, so also even the traumas are passed down generation to generation. So the pain and the fear that our grandparents were feeling during apartheid, we still feel it at some extent. Exactly. That's why some people still fear the police even today. Well, now they have to protect us, but because our grandparents know them as abusers.
Exactly.
Like I was blown away to find out
some of them are still they still are abusers.
Exactly.
And to us, they don't arrest us like they arrest other nationals. No, they don't arrest us the same. And even in terms of public drinking and other things, the way they do things, if you want to arrest somebody, arrest somebody. Don't embarrass somebody in front of everyone.
Yeah, you see, but it also comes back to the programming to say, Hore, that's how Mapolisa do things or did things. So Lena, to show Hore, I am the police I think I am. I have to show Hore, the police by acting like the racist or apartheid government's police.
I think this goes back to just because my 2K5, you think you know everyone.
Yeah.
It's also within, it's individually, so at least try to know. There are others, they do things accordingly, and there are those ones, and because maybe we know the three that didn't do things right, then we are basing our opinions on those ones. You understand? Exactly.
And also speaking about it, also I feel like I'm hoping it sparked a thought to people to say, know your rights. Yes, not all of the people will respect your rights, but once you know them, you are confident in them, it will be easier for you to fight for them and stand by them to say, you know what, I deserve the respect, even though when you are arresting me, you can't embarrass me like that. And that's why people or government servants are being what is this term? Suing them. Yes, they're asking for compensation to say, what you did there is against my human rights, which are things that a lot of people fought and died for. And now we're not even using it, we're not even learning about it. That's where the thought of saying, they failed us will come from, because once you understand, there was a time where a black person was like a pig or a cow. You were an asset to a white person. That's why they could beat you, rape you, sell you, do anything they wanted to you, because to them you were like an animal. Meanwhile, they came to your forefathers' lands, divided you with your family through borders. Because if you follow the lineage ya madi wa gago, you can have ancestors in Malawi, Mozambique, which broaden you to your talents, your passion.
Goes as far as Congo.
As far as Congo, you see what I mean? But now, because of these artificial borders that are created, we think now I'm South African. No, darling, you are African.
Your roots
You
are in
are
Ethiopia.
African. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, love my friend. Yeah, I'm very true. And I'm
Like,
very,
and you know what you saying,
like
you
me.
just actually, emphasized how powerful knowledge is in my mind. Because imagine if we knew such things about a lot of things around us,
Yes.
the confidence that we would have when we're dealing with certain issues.
And no, I only perceive now that within this divided borders of us, we are either trained or training ourselves in a way that, or we perceive others from the other side of the border as something else. Other people, they are very good in collaboration, and this is what we are lacking, and that's why we are always dominated. Every time it's separate, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. It has always been like that from the apartheid system.
But here's that dividing thing goes in. It starts within, and it starts with your family. If you are not able to work with your brother or your mother, your father, you can't work with someone who's outside.
Exactly.
But
You
also,
understand?
just because you can't work with your brother, don't limit yourself and think you can't work with someone else.
Exactly. 100%. It goes both.
It goes, or it is perpetuated by the media. So I'm hoping the point of today's episode is to just put the spotlight on issues that are usually under the carpet. Well, we are so quick to blame ourselves for a lot of things that are happening to us or around us, forgetting that there are higher forces that are actually at war with us. They have 500 years plan on how to keep poor people poor.
Media houses
where they are. Yes,
media houses.
All media houses except Kasia Cover. You know,
Media houses.
Not
even as yet. I don't think we'll ever be a media house. Like, I think media houses, the captured ones.
Yeah, if you're captured,
you're a media house.
We are not captured.
We don't have a name yet for people who are not captured, but media houses.
More to that, they're instilling that a black person can thrive or get out of poverty without doing crime. Back to what he's saying, there are a lot of foreign people that come to South Africa because they also believe there is better investing opportunities, because we are one of the countries that don't face war as many African countries do. And they are constantly at war, not because they hate being black or themselves, but because behind that there are other influencing parties like France. France right now is being exposed as a puppet master, controlling some of the generals in countries with minerals, creating war so they can get those minerals or resources at a lower price, to a point where they can raise the prices by 200%. Almost like buying a 1 liter of coal. That's what we have a lot of. More R1 in South Africa, only to sell it more $1,000 in France, where they have no load shedding, nothing, yet they don't have mines that produce the minerals that keep their lights on. Meanwhile, the countries where they get these minerals, maybe 50% of their country does not have power, or 50% of the citizens are in extreme poverty.
Imagine.
So once you awaken to those thoughts, another person might think of having a YouTube channel just speaking about their history, because you are privileged enough to have a parent that tells you your true history. And because we have a similar surname, Lena, I'm gonna listen to that channel and read and listen to your history and relate to it, and then it empowers me in a way where white person, step aside, even I can do this job. Because my grandfather did, my grandmother did. Mastermind actually was telling us a story about this shop now. It's in Mall of Africa. It's his brothers who were creating the products of that shop. And the only reason they don't own anything, like as now it is so big, is in African Mall, and they're just creating spoons, cutlery. Yeah, but proper quality of cutlery. And they back then when they were starting, they were using their hands. But because the person who owned the resources or finances to buy the material was a white person, all of their hard work went to a white person. And now their hard work, the result of their hard work is being enjoyed by the children or the offspring of that white individual.
So how many more stories do we have to hear?
That are like
how
this.
many more stories do we have to
And
hear?
we go back and we blame our parents. We say, oh, no, but they were not allowed to own anything.
So that's why I wanted to emphasize on the issue that it's only our physical genetics. With me, believing that today we spoke a lot about AMA systems.
Yeah.
Any other day, we can talk about systems in our spaces.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it at the business summit we met, where you came and left.
That
she was
day.
there.
Oh,
yeah. And then that's why I knew she was part of this. You said it's online more, something like that.
It's the Small Business Network.
Please tell us more about that.
Small Business Network. Diepsloot Small Business Network.
It's the one that I spoke about in terms of helping small businesses.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe that as three of us, as we chose to be who we are, and chose to be aware of our surrounding and not be the victim of the system. But actually, the best thing where now the fact that you are aware you don't have a problem. People who have problems are not the ones that are aware that they have a problem. So you can still make a difference. So this was one of our best episodes.
It was, and Felicia, let me applaud you for the work that you've done. And like, it's for someone who is as young as you are, as beautiful as you are, you could have taken this beauty elsewhere, you know.
True.
Someone could have just said, actually, this is what I want to do, community work, what is that? Like, what B is that? Like, I don't want to do that. I mean, you could have easily taken the other route. And I'm saying this also with the Home Affairs story that you did tell. There's this young woman, I hope she managed with the family to fix whatever situation they had there with the documents. She was doing grade 11 last year, and she wasn't motivated to actually write her exams last year so that she can matriculate because she doesn't have the necessary documents. You understand? And it's so heartbreaking because like she and the way she was talking, she wants to give up herself to the other things. You understand? And let me applaud you. Like it's so inspiring to see someone who's as young, as enthusiastic as you are, who sees themselves and they're like, I'm a leader, I'm gonna do this, you don't do this, I'm gonna do it. So this is the question that we pose to each and every person in this podcast. And you are the first, not only the first female, but the first person to ever get it. Because the other one, so the previous question was, what would you tell the people about this neighborhood? So now we are trying to hold people accountable, Lalas. You as an individual, as a community, young community member, what are you committing yourself to doing? Could be personal, could be more could be general. Like you choose. What is that one thing that you, from here, walking away from the Ghazian cover, you commit yourself to this one thing? It could be impacting you or anyone around you positively. What is that one thing that you commit to do?
Share everything I know. Share to every ear that is willing to listen. Help assist anyone who believes they can benefit from what I know in terms of self-development, community development, art, business. That's where I'm at. Right now, actually, I'm assisting last 5 businesses with my advisors, and they're not taking it lightly. They're like, oh my God, I didn't think of this. I wasn't going to think of this because I'm so focused in production. So, yeah, and I'm hoping that soon I can run free get-togethers for young people where we can just get to know ourselves. Like I can bring in the papers that I need, like forms, questionnaires, or diary templates. Just really be there for these young people that are so brutally judged by everyone else, and yet they're expected to be the future of this country. And that is why we have so many suicides from young people, because like so much pressure and little support and little assistance. So I'm hoping that I can be that sister to the next person and help them in any way I can, so they can better themselves, their community, their family, and their community.
I don't think you just perceive yourself as a leader. You really are one, and all the best with everything that you want to do from now on. And we want to see that sharing. You know, maybe we never know. Maybe that sharing.
Also, sometimes we should just visit one organization. We've done that community work, both of us. But I feel like where we are right now, because we committed to a lot of things, but I feel like one day we should just go to one of those organizations and say, what can we do for you for a day?
100%.
Or maybe sit down and plan what we can do for them. Go just volunteer somewhere, both our skills differently, do what we do, and then we live there.
See, you are inspiring us to share. So that is amazing. Exactly. And thank you so much once again for coming to our show. We really appreciate. We don't take your time for granted, and keep on spreading the positive word out there to the young people. And as you said that you are committing yourself to sharing with whoever that's willing to listen. I think there's no amount of sharing than sharing knowledge. Like leave people with knowledge, and this is what you've done today here. So from Lala's, Felicia, Lee, my sunflower, what do we say?